Hey everyone, welcome to the results video of the Animal Park mini contest. Now, as the name already suggests, all the players had to make an animal park in this contest. But yeah, the definition of animal park, I left it really open to the interpretation of the players. So basically I approved anything that had at least 10 animals. And the animals could be in the form of entertainers, but also in the form of scenery or coaster cars. A lot was allowed. So, yeah, we had 16 completed entries in this contest. Sadly, one was disqualified, so we are left with 15 approved entries in the end. Anyway, I'm just going to quickly show you the disqualified entry first. And then after that, I'll go through all the entries, starting with the one that got last place, and finishing with the one that won the round. Okay, here's the entry from QDude24. Now, he actually spent a lot of time on this map, but yeah, one of the rules of the this mini contest was that the map size was not allowed to be more than 25 by 25 tiles. I think he confused the map size with the rules for the bobsleigh contest, which is also going on at the moment. And because that one had a map size restriction of 35 by 35 tiles. So yeah, he probably mixed them up, so this map was sadly too big for me to accept it. But I still think it's very creative, so I'm still quickly going to show you everything that was built here. So, obviously we're gonna have to use the cutaway view, because else all the glass is in the way. Now, I believe he recreated part of Wildlands Emmen. It's an animal park in the Netherlands, which also has a pair of dual enclosures, by the way. Yeah, the park actually has a boat ride going through it, from which you can also see several animal exhibits. For example, you go through an area which has several monkeys. It's actually quite a fun ride to do when you're in that park. It is nice and relaxing to go on a boat ride through the area. So here it passes through a lot of jungle. Now, when you make a jungle, I think it's usually a good idea to vary the ground textures a bit. And maybe also mix in some more colors. That will make your jungle generally look a lot nicer. Now, sadly, there's quite a lot of glitching going on in this area. I think that always detracts from the final result a little bit. Yeah, here's some more plants. Again, there's lots of grass here. I'm really not sure if that's always a good idea. You can see some frogs going around. There's flamingos here. There's a big snake. Monkeys. What are these? Ostriches. And here's an area with elephants. So yeah, lots of different animals in the park. I think the biggest improvement could have been made on the foliage. That yeah, that definitely could have been made a lot nicer. Probably with a different mix of trees, it would have looked a lot nicer already. But yeah, sadly I had to disqualify this entry because it was simply way too big. Okay, here's the entry from Joseph Stalin, Comrade Chris. No, immediately when you open the park, you are greeted with the message that Amber H has drowned. That's pretty sad. Let's see. So here, there's this big amphitheater, and here the guests get on a ride with yeah, with like these carriots, which are carried by a Pegasus. So yeah, that's pretty creative. I kind of like to see these Pegasus horses fly around here. Now the amphitheater itself, it also looks quite nice. I think I kind of like these, yeah, these tent roofs. Although it is pretty much the same for, yeah, for most of this area. Also here, there's the same roofs over and over again. Not really sure if that works well. Just gonna quickly disable the rain. Other than that, here you can see a lot of knights and Roman soldiers battling with all these tigers here, which are all furries. As you can see here, they're all named after members on our Discord. Now, personally, I think it would have looked better if they weren't frozen in place. It would have been much nicer to watch, I think, if they were moving around. I mean, these knights will have animations for for swinging their sword around, stuff like that. So it would have looked like they were fighting anyway. Now, under the amphitheater, there's also some stuff going on, which I will probably have to blur out. If you want to see the rest of this, just download the entry for yourself from my Discord server, and then you can see all the stuff that's going on here. Alright, on to the next entry. Okay, here's the entry from Blonde Tuco. And he made this plot, I believe he called it Harambe's Revenge. You can see all these monkeys sitting on top of this wall, looking into this human enclosure. And the monkeys, they're all called Harambe. So, I guess this is where the guests are lured in. Here there's this sign that says free porn. So a lot of guests are going in here. And I'm assuming there's a invisible maze here, because sometimes you can see a guest go through this tunnel and then fall down into this enclosure here. Oh, there's a little swing here and a little slide. I guess this is where the guests can buy some drinks. And I'm assuming this is also an invisible maze, because sometimes you can see a guest enter here and exit immediately, and then they drop into the water and drown. So yeah, this is kind of a silly entry, but it's funny to watch anyway. Okay, then we have a tie for 12th place. This is the entry from Terrorhenk, or Henk Croquette, as he renamed himself. Now, the fun thing about this entry was that it was actually made in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. That's also why you can see this border fence around the park. And it's also all built without disabling clearance checks. He also used some of the walls that are available in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. All these walls also have been ported to Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. But in order to see them like this, you also need to have Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 installed. Okay, well, here we have a boat ride that goes around. It's called Jochem Tours. And while riding Jochem Tours, you can see all these gorillas that are walking around. And they are all named Jochem as well. So yeah, other than that, there's really not much to see here. He did provide a screenshot of how it looked in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. But of course, people all will rate it on how it looks in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. So yeah, really not much to see here, because in Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 it's a lot more difficult to create nice looking buildings. But yeah, I think it still did reasonably well, considering that it didn't get last place. Okay, here's the entry from Seadra. Now, you may be wondering why is everything so blocky here? But Seadra actually recreated part of, let's say a land from Animal Crossing. It's a really popular Nintendo game, which was also released for the Nintendo Switch quite recently. And yeah, you can see lots of animals walk around here, but also with several humans who have arrived here. Now here you can see a big tent. This one has Tom Nook, Tommy Nook and Timmy Nook. Well, if you know the game, you know who these characters are. Now he also used these penguin bobsleighs to represent the fishes that are swimming in the water in this land. Yeah, I think they work quite well actually. Maybe he should have also made the seats a darker color, like this. It was probably made it look a bit more like the shadows that the fish actually give in the water in the real game. Also a shark going in around here, and he also made some little houses here. That's a Saru. I don't really know the characters, most of the animals from the game, except the Nooks, of course. But yeah, it looks like this guy is building a house here. Here's the little dog. Yeah, I don't have the game for the Switch, so probably I missed one or two references. But I think it is a really creative entry, and it's fun to see people actually make stuff from different games. And yeah, I think Animal Crossing is a great theme to use when going for an animal park, because that game, of course, is full of animals. So yeah, very creative entry from Seadra. Okay, here's the entry from Savvy Adam. Now, this entry actually looks like a zoo. So here in the middle, there's these paths. Then there's several animal enclosures surrounding it. And here's an area with several gorillas. And here's an area with some elephants that are dancing around. Here's several tigers. And here in the corner there are some pandas. And guests can get into one of these monorails here in the middle. And these travel around all these animal enclosures. So yeah, what I like about this entry is the enclosures themselves. I think they look nice, a nice variety of fences as well. That's pretty cool. What I liked a little bit less were these monorails, because they're traveling around really fast here, not really giving the guests the opportunity to actually look in these enclosures. I think it would have been nicer if he used a slower ride, maybe a chairlift which would travel over these enclosures, because they're quite slow, and I think that would make it more enjoyable for the guests. But still, I do like the idea of a ride riding past these enclosures, just to give some nice interaction and another way for the guests to actually feel all these animals. Okay, here's the entry from Ricardowordo. Now he actually made an inverted zoo. So here on top you can actually see these paths with all these animals walking around. They actually have human names as well, I think. So he probably just took some names from guests. And Amber H, of course. She came back from being drowned in Comrade Chris's park. So it's good to see her walking around again. So here on top you can see all these animals walking around, looking at the guests. And there's several guest enclosures. So here's Egypt area. I guess this sign says Homo Egyptus, so Egyptian humans. Here's the Asian humans, so you can see a little pagoda temple here. And here's something else. This is the enthusiast area, I guess. Here you can see a little coaster, 2C coaster. So yeah, the coaster itself is really nothing special. But it's fun to see these guests go around in these enclosures and have fun. To be honest, yeah, I really like this idea. This is pretty creative. Really fun idea, but I think it could have been executed a little bit better. I think these areas could have used some extra decorations just to spice them up a little bit. Then I think it would have gotten better ratings from all the people who voted. But like I said, I do really like the idea of an inverted zoo. It's fun to see that someone tried this. Alright, here's the entry from Manticore 007. Now, he also did something completely different from everybody else. So he made this thing, it says here, welcome to the ecosystem. So yeah, it looks like he made like something like an ant colony. You can see all these guests walking around here, all carrying white balloons. I guess they're supposed to look like eggs or something. And other than that, lots of grass growing high here, and of course all these little insects and critters all walking and flying around. Lots of movement in this entry. Also some really nice details. I really like this cigarette butt. That's really clever. So he used some diggy slide for it in 2 colors. Also with some smoke still coming from it. That's really creative. Here's even a little matchbox. And there's some other stuff here in the park as well. I guess this is an Oreo cookie. And here's a lizard, which is apparently eating the cookie, or just sniffing it. There's a snake going around here. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff to look at here. Oh, here's a pencil and a pencil sharpener. So yeah, lots of fun stuff to see in this entry. But yeah, not everything was very good in my opinion. While there were a lot of nice things here to look at, I do think the map's a little bit messy. Maybe if he just cut down on the grass a little bit, I think it would have been nicer. But still, this is very creative, and yeah, I love to see all these little details that he made using track texture, and especially the cigarette butt. I think it's a really cool thing. Okay, here we have the entry from BulliPolice. Now, BulliPolice is new on my Discord. He is also not on any of the other Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 Discords. But it looks like he has quite a bit of experience in this game already somehow. Because what he made here is looking quite nice. So yeah, lots of nice foliage here. So he made this entry with a boat rental, with lots of crocodiles swimming around here. And there's also a little building here, the Butty Bar. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So yeah, it is nice to see all these crocodiles swimming around here. He used the crocodile boats from the expansions. That's pretty cool to see them around. I'm not sure if it's safe for the guests to be rowing around here with all these crocodiles surrounding them. But yeah, at least BulliPolice did a nice job on the foliage here. But yeah, I would recommend him to maybe in the next entry also include some taller stuff. Just some actual landmarks or something. Just so there's a little bit more for the viewer to look at while going through this entry. Because right now you just go through it and you're done really quickly. But still, not a bad job for this newcomer on my Discord. Okay, then there's a tie for 6th place. This is the entry from Fauxtopia. Fauxtopia made this entry. You can see the text actually surrounding this entry: save the tigers and the earth. So I guess this is what do you call it? Like a sanctuary for tigers who are rescued from zoos or from circuses or whatever. But yeah, this entry was actually personally one of my favorites. Because yeah, it's just laid out really well. These rides here in the center, they're really the centerpiece of the park. A real eye catcher. It's called Cat Fight. So it's a dueling coaster which has 2 mirrored tracks. And surrounding it are all these enclosures for tigers. And several other rides as well. Some beautiful buildings. So nicely framed with flowers. I think the colors in this entry all work together really well. I love this shade of green. It goes really well with this brown and also the orange in the middle. It's just a really nice nice contrast. Yeah, I especially love the colors in this map. It's really well done. And actually my favorite part in this entry were these tiger enclosures. It's a really nice mix of scenery, plants, etc., landscaping. Yeah, the only downside that I could find was that in quite a few areas it's a little bit glitchy. You can see some stuff flicker in and out of existence in several places. Mostly in these really dense areas here in the enclosures, but also some spots around the coaster. But it, in the end, I don't think it's too distracting. So yeah, this was one of my favorite entries for sure. Really great job. Okay, here's the entry from Mamarillas. Now he actually recreated part of the San Diego zoo, I think. Not really sure if it's the San Diego Zoo, but this is an animal park in San Diego. So I actually looked it up on Google Maps, and it was actually quite accurate. I recognized this bridge that's over here. So yeah, you can see it's all built here on a mountainside with the lower part here. Now I'm not really sure if these animals are also here in the real park, but for sure it does look quite nice. Yeah, I think these animals from the expansions are a little bit too big compared to the size they should have compared to the guests. But oh well, since they're quite far away from the guests, I think this is still an acceptable way to yeah to use them. So you can see some giraffes here, some hippos. Here's a rhino, I think. Ah, I see what he did here. So there's actually an invisible ride in this rhino. So when you mouse over it, you're actually pointing on one of these cars. So that's why it looks like this rhino is selectable. It looks like it has a name. That's pretty cool. Now I really like the way he did all these plants here. That looks really nice. There's also some animals here on top of the mountain. What are these? Antelopes. Or probably some other deer-like species. Here's a top spin on top. Crazy condor spin. And here there's this condor enclosure. He used the... what is it? The wild mouse track to make all this netting. This cage. I think that looks... that's a pretty creative way of making a cage. I don't think I've seen anybody else do it. So it's this wild mouse track on top, and here's a steeplechase track on the side. And you can see these condors flying around here. Well, these condor trains. There's also one resting here on the mountain. So yeah, very creative entry, and yeah, I think the best part about this entry is how he did all the plants here. That looks really good. Alright, here's the next entry. This one's from Enox. Now he also made a little zoo with a train going around it. So let's see. Here we have several flamingos here in the middle. Here's several antelopes. There's some hippos here in this area. Now here's some pandas in this little Asian enclosure. With lots of bamboo and a panda toy. And here in this area there's Emil. Not really sure why he's here, and if he's the cause of these ribs that are being here, or maybe he just has to clean them out while some of the animals are lurking inside this cave. Not really sure. So, yeah, like I said, several rides in the map. There's a merry-go-round here, and there's also this train going around the park. I think that's a nice way for the guests to view all the animals in this park. Now, these zebras here, again, just like the giraffes in the previous entry, I think they're a bit too big. I mean, if you put a guest right next to it, it would be 3 or 4 times the size of the guest. So yeah, I think they're a little bit too big. So it's probably wise to avoid using these in your park. But well, yeah, I think that goes for most of the animals except for entertainers. Maybe the hippos have the right size as well. There's also some nice houses here in the park. I really like the way these buildings look. They're really nice. So a little Asian building here, another one. So yeah, just really nice decorations as well in the entire plot. I think it's really nice to look at. Okay, here's the entry from AJ. He made a flamingo park. No, the most fun thing about this entry was actually the custom messages he made. So it said something like fun facts about flamingos. Flamingos are not actually birds, they're gods. A group of flamingos is called a group of flamingos. In 1970, flamingos were the first species to develop teeth. And legally, a flamingo is allowed to own a gun. So yeah, I'm not really sure about the accuracy of these facts. Maybe someone who's a fact checker can check these claims for for how much truth there is to them. Anyway, so yeah, first off, there's this really nice big enclosure here. I love the way he did the roof with these chairlift cables. I have not seen anyone do it like this before. But I think this is a really nice way to make something that actually looks like a solid roof with glass, without it actually blocking the view too much. Because you can see through this clearly. But yeah, it still looks like it has some rigidity to it. And yeah, it's also a nice way to do these diagonal roofs here. I think this works really well. This is by far the favorite part of this entry. Now, there's also some other enclosures here. I believe this is the entrance here to the reptile house. And here's the entrance to the flamingo enclosure. Now, I don't really remember how much they were also decorated on the inside. So yeah, you can see the zookeeper here with several flamingos. And yeah, inside this building there's just paths with guests walking around. But it's not really decorated on the inside. Not really sure if it's intentional that there are actually some flamingos in here, but that it's not decorated here on the inside. I wish there were actually some decorations here, but oh well. At least the outside of the map looks really good. So yeah, there's also a little playground here with a slide, and another little like a spiral slide here, another smaller slide over here. So yeah, I really like this entry. Some really great buildings, and yeah, that's really what stood out most about this entry. Okay, here's the entry from CarpRunner. So yeah, he made this really nice amphitheater. I also really like the palette that he used. It makes it look like there's a sunset going on. So here's the entrance. It's called Gladiator's Haven. I really like the way he decorated it with all these track pieces. Even the arena, it looks quite simple because it's mostly just a side friction track. But I think he stacked them in a really nice way, and he also made some nice arches under it as well. I think it's really it's really nice how he did this. And guests can either go here on the grandstands. So you can see them sitting and watching this race going on, and guests can enter these chariots from two sides. So it's called Ben-Hur. So yeah, they just drive around the track here. I think they do one lap before they return back to the station. But But yeah, this part of the land is already really nice. But as it turns out, there's actually a lot of stuff hidden under the theater. So when we use the cutaway view, then we can actually see there's a lot of stuff also visible right under here. So yeah, I love all these decorations here. So to use the Maharaja Palace arch for. No, you don't often see people use these elements, but I think they work great here underground. Yeah, it just looks really nice here. Lots of nice buildings here, some shops. And there's even a big aquarium here as well. You can see some sharks swimming around here. I'm not sure if we are supposed to go down this much. But yeah, I really love that he actually hid a big aquarium here in this park. This looks really good, and it's really fun to see the sharks swimming around in front of these windows. So yeah, I really like this entry. There's just a lot of stuff to see here, lots of details, and also a big underground area. This is definitely a park that you should go download for yourself and check out, especially underground. This is great work from CarpRunner. Okay, there's just 2 entries remaining. I will show both of them first, and then I'll reveal which one is the winner of the round. Now here we have the entry from MajorCraving, and this is this is a really good entry. I love this entry because it actually looks a lot like a real animal park. And also it has some rides to provide interaction throughout the park as well. Anyway, here's the entrance to the park. I love the way this is built. This looks really good. A really nice mixture of track texture and rides. I especially love this combination of car ride track on top of side friction track. But also framed with these giraffe scenery pieces. That looks really nice. What I also really like is how we combine these paths, but also with these brown metal pieces here to make these corners in the path. And also he put this, he framed it with this monorail track with steeplechase track on top, and he put all these plants right next to it. And it just makes it really pleasant to look at. This is done incredibly well. I also really like seeing these cars go around this little canyon here. That's really cool. There's also this chairlift that travels around the map. They go around quite slowly, but they give the guests a nice view of all these animal enclosures. So you can also see some zebras go around here. Now, what I like about these zebras is that he did not use the expansion scenery pieces, but he actually used horses from the steeplechase track. I think they work better as zebras because they have the right scale to them. Now, there's also some rhinos going around here, and they actually made one moving rhino by using one of these cars from the expansions. There's actually rhino trains. So yeah, I think that's really creative. It's nice to see one of the rhinos walk around. Let's see, what else is here? There's also a little water section. There's with penguins. You can sometimes see one of the penguins swim and jump around here. That's really cool. I love seeing it go in and out of this cave as well. There's also a bird here. Probably a vulture inside this cage here. I also really like how he made this tree here in the middle, also surrounded with fencing. There's probably also some animals inside of here. But yeah, again, you should download this map for yourself. There's just so much to see here. It's just full of little details. You can see that MajorCraving put a lot of effort into this. It just has incredible details everywhere. So really, give this one a download and check it out for yourself. It's really nice. Okay, and here's the final entry. This one's made by Ulvenwood. Now, when I was checking this entry to see if it followed the rules, I was actually going around trying to count the animals, and I couldn't find 10 animals here. But then I rotated the map to try and see it from the other side. Let me quickly disable the rain. And then I actually found that he actually blacked out stuff in this map. So every time you rotate it, you actually see a different part of the map. So yeah, there's this car ride going around, and every time you rotate, you can see the car ride travel through a different area of the map. So I guess this is an icy area. I actually love what he did here, so that there's some fire with some penguins around. This is Emil, the penguin whisperer. It's also a seal, which is here. You can see some penguins sliding into the water, and there's a manta ray swimming in the water here. Here's a little jungle area or African area. You can see a rhino running around here. It looks like he's being chased by a tiger. There's also a monkey here in the in this tree called Dirk Ape. I wonder who he is named after. I don't really know anyone whose name starts with or ends with Dirk. I also really like that he made some of these sloths who are oh wait, this one's actually a koala, this one's a sloth, who are actually hanging from these trees. I also really like the way he did these trees. They look pretty good. It's just a mix of other trees and bushes. But I try to rotate the map. You can only see them really from one angle, I guess. But yeah, the trees here, I think they look really good. This is a really nice mixture of trees and bushes. I think it looks pretty believable. Okay, then here we have a little desert area with some really cool ruins. That's done really well. Some really nice trees as well. And of course this big snake here in the middle. And there's also some critters walking or crawling around here as well. So yeah, this is a really fun entry. It's really cool to see all these different areas in the park. Oh wait, I actually skipped through this area. So I guess this is more of a Jurassic area. So you can see a big dinosaur here. And there's also some Triceratops dodgems. So yeah, the way he did this is probably just by using a black tile palette and just putting walls that were colored using the black tile color. So when you do that, for example, you can just put wooden fences, and when you place them, it will just look like the background color. Alright, I think it's time to finally reveal who is the winner of this round. So, the winner of this round is... Ulvenwood. So yeah, this was definitely a very creative entry. But of course, MajorCraving's entry was also really good. They were really close together in score. So yeah, I think they both really deserved the win. Yeah, one vote really could have changed it again. If one person would have voted 1 point higher for the other, I think the other would have won. So yeah, like I said, it was really close. But I loved many of the entries that were sent in this round. Yeah, I was quite loose on... I wasn't very strict on the rules in this round. They just had to have 10 animals in the park. And it's nice to see so many players interpret it or work with the team in a different way. It's just really nice to see all your creativity. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed this mini contest. Yeah, if you want to join the mini contest, I will probably start another one quite soon. And yeah, when I announce it, I will also tell you how to join. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching all these entries, and I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.